When it's Friday night, there's nothing to do. Start a new show and you suck like glue. What I binged this weekend.
Welcome to What I Binged This Weekend. And what I binged over the weekend, for as long as I could, plus the extra day they gave me, was the Star Wars Battlefront beta. And I want to break my thoughts out into 6 things, 3 pros, 3 cons, in that order. The first pro, it's gorgeous. It's one of the prettiest games I've ever played. Like, hands down, you know, when you're on Hoth, there's snow all over the place. You know, it looks cold. You know, you can put yourself there. You know, when you're on this volcano place called Solist, it's the exact same thing. You know, it's awesome. There's volcano things going up. There's acid pits. It's really, really cool, you know. And then on top of that, they have these gorgeous skyboxes where you see TIE fighters and X-Wings going at it. You see, you know, Star Destroyers and cruisers just shooting at each other. It's really, really cool. It's beautiful, beautiful. The sound is the next thing, right? And so visually, it's freaking awesome. The sound, holy shit! It's Star Wars. Like, there's no denying it. It's hard to go wrong with that. But it's like they brought in all the original sounds they could. And that really, really, it's like you're just wrapped up in this visual and audio representation of Star Wars. And it's so hard not to go, holy crap, this is awesome. You know, it's...
As if you weren't already excited.
Yeah, right, you know. And so it was so cool. And the third thing I wanted to talk about was while you're playing, especially with the Walker Assault, which is, you know, the Hoth battle. The Walkers are coming in to blow up the shield generators. It feels like this massive freaking battle. Like, there were hardly any moments where I didn't feel engaged in the fight. You know, the pauses that I had between shooting at people were basically to let my blaster cool down. In most cases, you know, there were a couple times where I would try and go through some back tunnels in the rebel base to sneak around and capture a point. But in most cases, you know, I just felt constantly engaged. And I think that was definitely influenced by the audio and the visuals that you get, because you see the battles that are happening. If you're not spawned real close to it, you can hear, you know, blasters going off and things shooting and exploding. It was really, really awesome, and it kept me engaged, and the battles just felt like battles, you know. There were parts where it got super chaotic and we were getting overrun by stormtroopers, then we'd push back, and it really was awesome. That's the pros, you know, like, it was pretty, it sounded amazing, and it was really fun to play. Unfortunately, there are some bad things, and, you know, for me personally, there are other people who have other opinions. I've seen them. My only real gameplay criticism I have is that the Walker Assault, because they only let you play 3 things, right?
Because it's still the beta.
It's the beta. You know, the Walker Assault was incredibly unbalanced. I don't want to say how many games of that I played, but of the games that I played, there was only one time that the Rebels won. And I played a ridiculous amount. And I don't want to have a number, but I played a lot.
But you could.
And there was only one time when the Rebels won. One time. And that was incredibly unbalanced. And basically, as soon as, you know, because what happened is you'd be playing and you could come in as a Rebel or an Imperial, but immediately the next game that you were attached to, you'd switch sides. So it was almost like you were getting, you know, a 50-50 win-win.
So sometimes you kind of always ended up... Well,
yeah, basically... No, seriously. Basically, every time you played as a Rebel, you were going to lose. Like, that Like,
I mean, I guess it makes sense according to like the movie.
the movie, but the thing is that it's really fucked up in a game.
Yeah.
Right? You know? And so that was really unbalanced. And it was kind of unfair of certain spawn points, because there were times as a rebel I would spawn real far away from the action and I'd have to catch up. And then there were times when I was playing the stormtrooper and I would spawn and it's like, oh, that point that we need to defend is right there. Walk 5 feet, you know, and I'm already there shooting at rebel scum. And that was just, that battle was really, really unbalanced, and they have a month to fix it, but fingers crossed they can. You know, I think they can, but that thing needed a lot of work, just because, like, you shouldn't be able to play it 100 times and only see the rebels win once.
How long was the fight average? Like time?
20 to 30 minutes maybe. It depended.
Definitely did.
It depended. And so that was my big gameplay concern. The other two things I have aren't necessarily gameplay related, but they are game related, in the sense that I really hate what EA has been doing with this game. Like, it's awesome. It's really fun to play. I'll probably get a copy. You know, I probably won't get it at launch, but I will get a copy just because of how much fun I had. And once, obviously, they release it, they're going to patch it and all that stuff. But I have a serious problem with how they're approaching the post-game thing. So basically, $60 for the game at launch, and then there is a expansion pack. There is a season pass for $50. And what's that comprised of? Here you go. This is what you get so far that we know you get with a season pass. 4 expansion packs. And really that's probably just going to be maps. Because that's how EA and DICE have done things before with their other game, Battlefield. Not related to Battlefront in any way. Outside the developers and publishers, is they'd release expansion packs after that, and it'd include 3 to 4 maps. You know, so you get 4 expansion packs. Yeah, you get more maps, yay. And, you know, cool, that's fun. You know, and then you get a special emote. And the emotes in the game is where, you know, you can probably mod it to, you want your character to do this specific motion. Like, for one, they've got like this weird fist bump thing that you, like, yeah, or fist pump, I should say.
I just imagine like the Super Smash Brothers, their battle stances.
Yeah, you know, essentially that's what
or
it is.
A stormtrooper getting the peace sign.
That would be pretty funny.
Japanese.
Don't give them any
Well,
ideas, because they will nickel and dime the gamers.
So
Period.
on average, you spent 33.4 hours.
Don't do the math.
And
I
so,
like that.
and so,
Just on that one level.
just on that one. You only had 3. I was trying to win as the rebels, and so basically, you know, they're just giving you maps, you know, and that's fun and all, but, you know, I don't really care about doing emote things. The other things that you're going to get with a season pass, you're going to get instant access to 3 things that you can unlock in the game within 3 matches.
Yeah.
So what's the point? Why am I spending money on that? You're going to get 2 special emotes that you're going to have to pay for otherwise if you want. And essentially that breaks down to, those are just $10 themselves, you know, if you look at it. And that's just really, really ridiculous and offensive to me as a gamer, because, you know, why...
Back in the old days,
Back
when
in-
I was playing
Sega?
Rogue Squadron on the N64, and you could unlock the Naboo fighter plane with just a couple of key mashes at the starter menu.
Yeah, but like it's,
Seriously.
yeah.
Like,
No, I'm
seriously,
just
you
like,
could-
that's no way letting into
It's
that you were
hilarious, but like,
Oh
you
no,
know,
my brother
that's
did it and everything. I just liked playing it because it was a really shiny plane aircraft.
It's
It's
just
really hard to control.
I've got a huge problem with that. And the last thing that I have a huge problem with is the fact that this game is essentially just multiplayer. There are things that you can do Solo,
Han.
not
You
quite.
didn't need to say it. It was
I'm sorry.
understood.
But, you know, there are certain things that you can do as an individual gamer, and there are certain things you can do co-op, you know, but the party system's kind of screwed up.
Yeah.
But they don't have a story mode.
weird.
There's not like, oh, hey, here are maps that we've already got that you can play in multiplayer, and these different modes. Let me slap a narrative on top. They didn't even do that.
How do you not have one?
That's really weird because it's, I mean, like, okay, so like Rogue Squadron was like one of the not one of the first, but I mean, like, you could free play on these courses, but it still had like a story arc that was like justifies why you're there, or it's like, oh well, you've watched the movie, so you know why that game's happening.
Yeah, and it's just they didn't have they're not even slapping, you know, a chain of maps together and say, okay, here's 15 maps, you start here, you end here, here's a narrative that goes between it. Here are cutscenes of still images that are just fading into each other. They don't even have that.
If you can't really win, because you said there was only one like
No, well, that was because of a balancing issue.
If
That's not a narrative thing, though.
But there's always like some kind of like.
Well, okay,
winner
so Star Fox. Star Fox is another it's like a pilot game, but you say you get your map, and you have worlds that you fly to, and then you go through the course that way. But there's different courses you can take depending upon how you play on that level. So like there's one level where you're fighting so you're Star Fox, you're fighting off against Wolf, and if you defeat all of Wolf's characters and stop the alien ship, you go one route that's much faster to get to the main level. If not, you go a different route and you end up having to fight Wolf again at a much harder level. So like I can understand maybe doing something like that, where it takes inspiration from the movies and is like, that's why you're here, but it's kind of like a choose your own adventure.
And see, the real issue is that there's multiplayer, and then they have, you know, a different section that they're calling stuff. In the multiplayers, there's multiple modes, right? And it's not just, you know, oh, here's a multiplayer campaign that you can do. It's like, here are these modes, and here are the maps that you can do in these modes, and they're objective based, you know, and it could be, let me kill as many people, or let me, you know, capture this point. And that's what that is. And outside of that, they don't even have like a series of maps that you can play alone or with friends that is chained together with a narrative. The closest thing you've got is this horde mode where you've got, you know, 6 waves of enemies, and you just gotta kill them and survive. That's basically something that's been happening in every game. That's nothing new. There's not a narrative there. Then they have these things called battles, but the descriptions that I've read for the battles are, it's not like, oh, here is this battle, here is this battle, this is the one that you start with, and then you move on, here's this next one. It's more like, here's this battle, yay. And it's kind of like a multiplayer map that you play.
Well, that's the whole game.
Yeah. You know, like there's not a story in there.
Not releasing that information because it's the beta, or like that's literally, you think, all of their
they've released descriptions for battle and hero battle, and that's basically what it is. They haven't released any description on what's in the expansion packs outside of, you know, we can look at their past of what they've developed and what they've done. But, you know, they haven't, they're probably not going to release a story mode. And that's really sucky because Star Wars has such a rich space for narrative. The other thing that I'm really sad about is in the original Star Wars Battlefront series is that Battlefront 2 had this mode called Galactic Conquest that you could play solo against AI or against friends. And it was basically a turn-based thing on a galactic level. You take planets, and it's like, okay, well, this planet, there's a fleet above it, so you can't just land on the planet. You have to beat the fleet. And if you're playing against a friend, you've got to beat your friend at that, you know, and in the space battle. And then you've got the world, and so you've got to conquer the world. And then, you know, there's 20-odd planets. And it was really fun because it's like, okay, you know, I'm going to whoop my friend and I'm going to conquer the galaxy.
Video game Risk.
Yeah, except you get to shoot
And
people.
Star Wars.
In Star Wars, yeah.
Signature Farm.
Yeah. And so it's just really irritating that they couldn't even think about including all that. And honestly, a lot of people have been talking about it, and it looks like the reason is simply because EA, Electronic Arts, set a deadline, and they didn't want to push it back.
Yeah, because I'm sure they wanted to get it out before the movie, because the movie is going to have a whole new set of games that are going to stem off of that, so they're like, okay, well, we need to get it out before that all hits the market, but also carry on the momentum of the new movie coming up.
And what I'm really fearful of is next year, or maybe the year after that, they release Star Wars Battlefront 2 with all the things that you wanted in number 1 that we just waited, you know, it's like...
We just waited a year to give it to you.
Exactly, and I feel like that's what's going to happen.
Probably.
So 1 out of 33.4 stars.
No, I was going to say 1 out of 10 fist-pumping stormtroopers. How many fist pumps?
At first I was going to say like acid trips, but...
If I was just talking about the game, barring anything outside of it, I would give it 8.5 stormtroopers. The last one getting cut in half by a lightsaber.
Oh, he's like, yeah.
You know, yeah, it's just cut diagonally.
By
So he's still fist bumping.
Like,
And you know, but
still fist
considering everything outside of it, I would drop it down to a 5, just because of how stupid that all is.
All the politics.
Yeah, I hate you,
So
EA.
then you give it 5
5.
grimacing stormtroopers behind there.
that's funny.
Yeah, exactly.
5 angry rebels.
But like
Angry
out of
Rebels, yeah.
33.4.
No. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling.
Star Wars.
Battlefront, woo woo, beta.
Star.
Okay.